The Brotherhood gets another one. Jon Scheyer continues his unbelievable run on the recruiting trail. A new addition to the Duke men's basketball class of 2025.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. It's so good to have you here with us on Thursday, October 24th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. We talk a lot about Duke men's basketball and Duke football this time of year, and Jon Scheyer and his coaching staff get another one. As this week, Duke secures the commitment from Nikolas Khamenia in the class of 2025. Out of the state of California, cross-country commit to play basketball for the Duke Blue Devils. And who better to break all that down with than our good pal Brandon Jenkins of 247 Sports, one of the national recruiting insiders. Big-time commitment for this Duke team. I love it. And Jon Scheyer continues to be on a roll. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Also, make sure that you watch our show each and every day on YouTube. A special shout out to all of our everydayers out there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends. Again, so appreciative of your support here on Locked On Blue Devils. Follow us on X at LO_Blue Devils. And I'm there as well at _JJ_Jackson_. So without further ado, joining us on today's show, the aforementioned Brandon Jenkins is back with us. How are you, man?
Man, I'm chilling on it. Glad to talk Duke basketball.
Let's do it, man. We got another big commitment in the Brotherhood. Someone that surprised a lot of people, I believe. A Final Three that included the Duke Blue Devils along with UCLA. Nikolas Khamenia makes the decision to commit to play basketball at Duke. Tell us about this, Brandon. I mean, as an insider, how surprised were you by this? A lot of people around Durham are saying Coach Scheyer doesn't even know this happens until it played out on his live commitment there with you guys at CBS Sports and 247.
Yeah, there may be some truth to that. Honestly, I didn't know where he was going. And if at the time when I was a guessing man, I thought that he was going to head to UCLA. Thankfully, I had the article ready for him committed to Duke. You know, I mentioned on this podcast before, you can't count out the Blue Devils when they're in a race. I mean, just time and time again, whenever they're in those Final Two or Final Threes, I mean, they're just a program not to bet against. And, you know, Nikolas Khamenia is the latest example of, you know, why not to bet against Jon Scheyer and his staff.
Okay, what type of a player is he? Let's refresh people. What is he going to bring to the Duke basketball team?
For sure, a 6'8", 200-pound playmaking forward who is skilled and versatile. But the thing that he prides himself on the most is his ability to close out games with victories. He is a very prideful winner. And it's one of the reasons why he chose Duke is because of their winning pedigree. Definitely wants to carry on the traditions that he has back in high school. He's a 2-time CIF Open Division State Championship winner. That's one of the toughest tournaments to win in all of the country. And so you're getting just a player who values winning, who could play with like talent. And he's very vocal and he's a great leader. I think he knows what it takes. He knows the sacrifices that are needed to make. And I think he's excited to play with the Boozers because he knows what their winning pedigree is as well.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is a big-time get for Duke. Again, out of Studio City, California, Nikolas Khamenia at Harvard-Westlake on Duke's current roster, a walk-on favorite on the team, Spencer Hubbard, a Harvard-Westlake product. And so a good basketball team there that's had a lot of winning within the state of California. And then, the fit, you mentioned it there with the Boozer twins. Immediately after he makes his commitment, we see both Cameron and Caden welcoming him on their Instagram and social media platforms. So those three guys we expect to be big-time contributors for the Duke basketball team. Is that fair to say? I mean, do you feel like Khamenia, we have no idea what decisions will be made with this year's roster, who's coming back and that sort of thing, but is he a player who can make an impact game one as a college basketball freshman? Is he that good?
For sure, yeah. And I think the best part about it is he can do so without scoring, whether it be making the extra pass, providing toughness, a key rebound. This dude just makes winning plays, and he's a very unselfish with his approach to the game. Like I said, he's willing to sacrifice. He's been well coached at Harvard-Westlake. So this is a guy who can complement great talent. And with the shooters that Duke has on their roster that's projected to come back, obviously we don't know with the transfer portal and stuff like that. But, if they're able to, succeed in player retainment, Nikolas Khamenia is one who can get the most out of the players that are projected to return.
All right, so he makes this decision to come and play basketball at Duke, surprising a whole lot of people. The final three of Duke, UCLA, and Gonzaga. 6'8", just a great basketball player, a smart player. You mentioned the IQ. I like watching the highlight clips that I've seen of this outside shot. Shooting is something that we're always trying to find for any basketball team, but particularly at Duke. And it feels like shooting is something that will translate pretty quickly for him at the next level. But again, yet another amazing player that Jon Scheyer is able to add to his roster for this upcoming season. And Khamenia seems like a guy, Brandon, who he keeps climbing all of these rankings, right? Within your 247 sports rankings, he's currently the number 19 player in the entire country. The composite rankings that you guys do a great job of putting together has him as number 27. Is it fair? Could you see him continuing to climb even more when it's all said and done as he starts his senior season of high school basketball?
Absolutely. I can see him reaching 5-star status when you think about like the way he projects and his fit within the Duke men's basketball program, and then already what he brings to the table from a winning perspective. I think a lot his mindset and his skill set translates very well. I have to say, us at 24/7 Sports, we are ahead of the pack with his ranking.
Yeah.
And I have to toot my own horn. I was a very big advocate of that. But I think we're going to see a lot of sites in the industry catch up, because at the end of the day, he's very consistent. He's very productive. And while he might not scream with like terrific upside and long-term tools the way that, some 5-star prospects usually do, I mean, it's the consistency. And at the end of the day, when you're projecting dudes to play at the highest level of the sport, these dudes are getting paid to be consistent and bring their very best day in and day out. And just with his mentality, his work ethic, the ability to be coachable and the ability to make sacrifices, I think that he gives a lot of, markers and traits that can be bet upon long-term.
How does Duke do it? How does Jon Scheyer specifically do it? They keep getting them. And some say this class of 2025 not quite done yet. We'll talk about that and a little bit more with our good pal Brandon Jenkins after we take our first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has more daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value to your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. With Prize Picks, we run your game. Prize Picks is the absolute best. Prize Picks is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Keep it going here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. JJ Jackson alongside Brandon Jenkins of 247 Sports. B. Jenkins is here with us. We're talking about Nikolas Khamenia's commitment to Duke basketball. Very fired up to have him on the Brotherhood and moving forward. So we've got 3 commits now in the class of 2025. What is it about Jon Scheyer that lets him be so successful out there on the recruiting trail? Is it even easy to answer that question, Brandon? I mean, the guy he feels like a juggernaut. He feels like he gets things done no matter what.
I think it's easy to answer. First of all, he's a young coach, so I think he can relate to the players. His background as a player, he was a national champion at Duke. Somebody who was really good at the game. And then you got to combine it with just the platform, of the Brotherhood. It's something that, never fails that these kids, it's hard to turn down for these kids. So when you got the combination of all 3 and then factor in a relentless grind with him and his coaching staff, you can expect epic results. And that's what we're seeing here with them bringing in currently a number 1 class, according to 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that, hey, maybe this class isn't done yet. They're in the running for a couple of other players out there I guess Shelton Henderson would be a player to start with for this Duke basketball team. I mean, this is a player, Brandon, that you've been talking about for quite some time. Tell us a little bit more about Shelton Henderson and how big of an addition he would be to Duke if he were to commit there.
Absolutely. I would say that Duke is in the lead there. Obviously, he's down to a Final Three with Texas and Louisville. But I like the Blue Devils' chances here. When you talk about Shelton Henderson, we're talking about a 6'6" Hulk-built wing. That's the best way I can explain it. His game kind of resembles Stephon Castle's and Jarris Walker's playmaking wing with a terrific, feel on the defensive end. His defensive instincts is amazing. He can block shots. He can rebound. He can make others better with his ability to, make the extra pass. He has a great feel for the game. So that's another versatile option. It seems like they're going for a class that screams with, positional size and versatility. And I think Shelton Henderson can do that. He can guard multiple positions and play multiple positions. The Achilles heel is his jumper, but I think that's something that can come along because he's been a steadfast worker throughout his high school career, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Okay, so outside of that, who could possibly be someone else to join this class of 2025? Who should Duke fans have on their radar, if anyone else? Or maybe we're getting towards the end of kind of wrapping this class up, Brandon.
To be honest, I think we're getting towards the end. Okay. Depending on which way Shelton Henderson leans, I think they're going to close it out there. But I say that, take that with a grain of salt at the same time, though, because Jon Scheyer really does like to load up these classes. But for now, you get a Boozer, you get a commitment from the Boozer twins. You have Nikolas Khamenia on board, and then you have Shelton Henderson, who is able to play multiple positions. I think that they're going to close it out there, and they may go portal hunting in the spring. So that's my take on this so far.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about this year's Duke basketball team in the third segment on today's show. And it's something to talk about, Brandon, that we've discussed previously is, hey, if Duke keeps playing really good basketball, and if they prove to be one of the better teams in the entire country, then maybe more players than you would have expected are leaving Duke after a year, which then requires Jon Scheyer to go to work, either in the transfer portal or continuing to bring in these high-level five-star talents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned player retention a couple of moments ago. And I think that's a real concern. I mean, they have a lot of loaded pieces on this team, and I think they project to be one of the top teams in the country. So, factoring that all in, there's going to be some players coming off the bench that will not want to come off the bench. And we'll see how they handle that, once the season comes to a close. But for now, they have a lot of options in the present and in the future.
All right, let's go to the class of 2026. Once again, if people didn't hear our conversation from a few weeks ago, I'd encourage them to go back and check it out. But obviously wanting to look ahead into what that could look like for the Duke basketball team as we start to focus more on those recruits. If we are nearing the end of a 2025 class, who do Duke fans need to be aware of in the class of 2026?
Absolutely. A few names come to mind. Jordan Smith, the Paul VI product, who plays insanely hard. He was a teammate of Darren Harris last year, and this is a dude that will be taking an unofficial visit to Duke next month. He has a chance to really compete for the number one spot in the country. Whether he gets it is a question that's up in the air, but this is a dude who separates himself just with his mentality and intensity on the floor. Mika Marinin, a dude who may not be in the 2026 class for long. We're hearing rumors that he's thinking about reclassing. He's considering Duke, Arkansas. I believe he's taken another visit, but it's not off the top of my head. I believe it's Missouri, but don't count me on that. But we're talking about a dude with great positional size who can really stretch the floor. And he has a translatable game when you think about it, just with him being 6'10", playing the four. And I believe he's originally from Finland. And he has a winning pedigree of his own. He helped lead Brad Bill's 16 to a EYBL championship on that division. So two players that really stand out. Also, can't forget Brandon McCoy, a dude who also is in the conversation for the number one spot. He brings great positional size, pushing 6'5", but he's one of the more gifted defenders. He brings a lot of upside, intangibles, and he's a really good coachable kid. I think the way that he interacts with others really translates well into the Duke culture. And this is somebody who just gets better as the years go by. He plays with great pace. And like I said, he holds his head on that defensive end. He's somebody who really locks up and can make defensive plays guarding the basketball. So those are three dudes that I think that Duke will really lock in on in the class of 2026.
And from your experience and knowing how this goes, right, we're getting more and more commitments by the day for the class of 2025. And then you do start to focus a little bit on 2026, all the while a current basketball season is being played out. Right. So in conversations that you're having with coaches, Brandon, how do they do it? It's hard enough for us sometimes to keep up with this. I'm so genuinely curious how coaches are able to kind of put things into perspective and know where to put their time, energy, and focus in recruiting for the future, being locked in on what's happening right now, securing your class for seniors right now. It just seems like a lot, man.
It is a lot, and that's why they don't sleep. And that's why a guy like me does not envy their jobs. But they really do get after it. You know, I mentioned that relentless grind. I think they have a real sense of urgency early about who they're supposed to lock in on, who fits their program, you know, from an internal perspective and also from an on the floor perspective. And so, you know, when they do their early homework, they really get after it. They lock dudes in, and then you can have the whole season to, you know, kind of put your attention to the side as you're in the mix of like a gauntlet of what it is in college basketball. But you can kind of put your attention to the side and actually lock in on a few dudes in the future and, you know, start building those early relationships so you can keep the trend going.
Excited to see what Duke's able to do from here and excited to focus on this season now. Duke's already got one exhibition out of the way. They're going to play Arizona State in a charity exhibition, the Brotherhood Run. They're calling it, as Bobby Hurley returns to campus this upcoming weekend. So we'll talk about that and more as we wrap up the conversation here today with our good friend Brandon Jenkins of 247 Sports. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is the absolute best. NFL fans, you can start big. We've got a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Check out Thursday Night Football tonight. Should be a fun one in the NFL between the Rams and the Vikings. All that exciting action over at FanDuel. Again, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Check out FanDuel.com. FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. He's back here with us once again. It's Brandon Jenkins from 247 Sports. I got to let you take this opportunity, man, to promote your work, promote the great team that you're working with. Take this time to let people know how they can get involved with your work and what you do.
Absolutely. As we're still in the midst of commitment season, be sure to follow us at 247sports.com just to get constant updates on where these top players in the country are leaning. For my group, make sure to follow Travis Brandon, Deshaun London, Adam Finkelstein, and Eric Bossi at their respective accounts. We all have, you know, different content, player updates, commitments, live commitments that have been treating us really well as of lately on our YouTube feed. So just please be sure to lock in with us on all platforms, and me personally at bjenkins247 on Twitter and Instagram. I'm X. I'm still not used to
that. Nobody is. We're watching the committee a commitment a little bit earlier this week, and he commits to Duke. And the next thing you know, a couple hours later, Cam Ward has a commitment announcement with you guys, and people are like, "Wait, is this the football player that's doing great things for the Miami Hurricanes?" But it's like, nah, this is another basketball player. You guys are so locked in. So before we get out of here, though, I do got to talk about this year's Duke squad with you, Brandon. We saw the debut of them against an opponent this past weekend, a 50-point dub over Lincoln, a Division II school. But nonetheless, man, first opportunity to see Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple debut for the Duke basketball team. They, by far and away, stole the headlines for so many people with just what they were able to do, man. That was awesome, getting to see them play in Cameron. A 22-point performance for Cooper Flagg, 17 for Con, who knocks down 5 threes, and a poster dunk that surprised a whole lot of people, man.
Surprised me. I didn't even know he had that in him. I really didn't know he had that in him. It's cool to see Con Knipple get the love, though. I remember we were on this show talking, and I was saying how he's just automatic from 3, and then this crazy Caleb Foster hops on his podcast, and he talks about how he's automatic. So it's good to see it coming into light. And I think there's no doubt in my mind that he can maintain that level of consistency. Cooper Flagg speaks for itself. I mean, he's already a stud. I mean, people that don't even follow basketball ask me about Cooper Flag, so we know what to expect from him. I believe he made that preseason All-American first team list.
He did, yep.
So the hype is already there, and I think he has the mentality and the tenacity to live up to it. So it should be a fun season for Blue Devil fans.
Yeah, we got Arizona State coming up on Sunday for the Duke basketball team. The Brotherhood Run, they're calling it a charity exhibition with proceeds to benefit the Duke Children's Hospital. That'll be awesome for Bobby Hurley to lead his squad in. His players are going to look up in the rafters and see his number 11 jersey retired. They're going to see the championship banners from 91 and 92 that he helped win with Grant Hill and Christian Leitner. But again, before we get there, we'll talk more about this win for Duke against Lincoln. What it told me, man, is that this Duke team is very capable of winning it all if they want to. I mean, you look at them, 15 of 37 from three-point range, over 50% of the shots Duke was taking from the floor in their offense was from the outside, and rightfully so. You got a guy like Kamen Malawach in the middle. He swallows up 6 offensive rebounds. Duke was attacking the glass relentlessly, and I think the play style is exactly what we're going to see throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, when you have that positional size, they kind of both positional size and shooting, that combination, they both no significant weakness. I mean, you got Caleb Foster, that 6'5", leading your offense. And like you said, you got Kaman in the front with those long arms protecting your rim and securing possessions. And then factoring Cooper Flag, Khan, Isaiah Evans, Darren Harris. I mean, like, they just have a lot of talent. The transfers that they brought in with Mason Gillis, him being able to stretch the floor and provide physicality. Malik Brown with the defensive versatility. I mean, they don't have any significant weakness. So it's just about them, not getting complacent and being bought into each other on a consistent basis, because they have all the talent to make a deep run heading into April.
How big would it be for this team to get a win on Sunday against Arizona State? It's a charity exhibition at the end of the day, but it's a group of, or a Power 5 team that we're used to seeing in Arizona State, and kind of putting yourself in a good position to start that regular season, because Duke's got quite a tough non-conference schedule ahead of them.
Absolutely. They'll get a feel for where they're at. I think it just gives them a good little glimpse of where they're at. Arizona State, they're making their first move into the Big 12. So, if you can get that bump and it doesn't even count, and you can get a feel for where you're at and then go back to the drawing board and get prepared, for your tough non-conference season, I think that is a great, tool to just get a feel for just where things are in the preseason.
No doubt. We're excited to see it all unfold. We're excited to keep following all these recruiting updates. And anytime you join us on the show, Brandon, it's always an absolute pleasure. So thanks for being here today, man. And we'll do this again soon, okay?
Absolutely. Always love being tapped in.
All right. That's Brandon Jenkins joining us here on the show today. Follow him on X once again at bjenkins247. The Brotherhood got another one. Nikolas Khamenia commits to play basketball for Duke. Super excited about that. That'll do it for today's show. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.